Hello, everybody. This podcast is Lava. My name is James Font, and with me this week we have Nick Frame, Silas Whitlock, and Sam Shoemaker.
Anybody ever been to Sullivan's?
Yes, I have.
I had a tuna
not.
steak for like $16, $17, and she's like, how do you want to cook? And I'm like, the only way you're going to cook a tuna steak for me, you sear it on all sides, throw it on a plate, and send her out. And that's what she did. It was delicious.
That sounds good.
Oh, it was so good. It was sushi grade, which means I can sue them if I get sick.
Yes.
I had some.
So you're like low-key hoping you get sick.
Yeah.
You just ate a bunch of raw eggs right after? You're like, I got salmonella.
From tuna?
Shh, it's fine.
It was really good. It was really, really good.
Seems like a great way to
this
die.
Like wasabi, soy sauce, concoction, teriyaki. I don't know. It was interesting. It was like nothing I've ever had before. It was very enjoyable. The portions are not as big as what you'd expect. Kind of pissed me off.
Well, yeah. It's Sullivan's, dude. It's a chain.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
What the?
Yeah, Sullivan's is a chain. The Sullivan's in Defiance, right?
You lying to me?
No, Sullivan's and Wasion.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of friggin' Shoney's. You are right. Sullivan's is not a chain. It is wonderful. I was thinking of the wrong S name. It really
Who
depends.
has Twitter?
I have Twitter.
I have Twitter, but I don't get on it ever.
So my experience with Twitter, and like I will notice a difference. Like I deleted it a long time ago. I had bad experiences on it because I'm conservative, and I'd post political viewpoints. I wouldn't personally attack you. I would debate your ideas. I'd call you out.
You'd have a conversation with someone that disagrees with you?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I know, right? And it was. And so the entire time I just see this like it's a liberal wasteland.
Echo chamber.
Honestly, it is. And I I posted some like negative comment on like the Gillette ad, probably prematurely, and the amount of attacks I got from people who didn't even know me. Like I got told that any woman who's had an experience with Nick Frame knows that he's like the worst guy in the world. Like I had people say that, people who don't even know me. I ended up deleting Twitter, and people afterwards were like, "Oh, I feel bad, but he deserved it." I'm like,
what?
But it's anyway. My whole point is, after I deleted Twitter, I noticed this like massive change in my demeanor towards society and life. I used to be like pissed off at society. I was like, dude, we're all screwed. Like these guys are a bunch of idiots. They are. But I wasn't constantly exposed to like this echo chamber because I was like starting to doubt my own conservative values and beliefs because I'm like, well, everybody thinks that like I'm this bad person if I don't. You know, I really started like doubting.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that's really
bad,
interesting, I've been listening to last podcast.
Well, you want to question everything.
Yeah. But I was listening to last podcast, and they are very devoted atheists. Or I don't even know if they're atheists. I think Ben believes there's something, but I don't think he believes.
I think
believes-
they think it would be nice if there was something, but there's no evidence for that, and you can
So
never
they're
have
they're
it.
more so an agnostic.
Anyways-
I think you just
An
need to take
agnostic.
mushrooms and experience
Anyways,
What?
so but they
Pretty sure Henry does.
they are very against Christianity because they've had bad experiences with Christians.
that with certain sects
And
of
so-
Christians.
Baptists.
It has actually made me.
Evangelicals.
It has made me question my faith a little bit because I'm
People
just
that
like,
raise their hands.
this is what people believe in the world, and then it actually made me think, and then it did make my belief stronger, because part of having faith is having faith. Yeah, you don't know if there's a God, you really don't.
No, yeah,
but
I mean, I'd argue that.
you don't know.
it is not something you can see right there, like my hand. I know my hand's real.
I know what you're saying.
If we're
Silas.
not
I
in a
agree with you.
simulation,
Yeah.
I have had the Spirit move in me. I understand that.
No, but
I'm saying to the common Joe who is an atheist or doesn't believe in God or just doesn't think about it, it's not a feasible thing.
What
yes,
you can
God
do,
works.
all that you can do outside of the spiritual, because that's the whole thing. What ticks me off is that I think last podcast, just specifically them, they are very educated, and yet they believe a lot of the very common and very easily disproven arguments about how Jesus never existed, even though numerous secular scholars like probably more than those that would disagree, state that there's strong
was a
evidence
Jesus.
that there was a Jesus and that he was
He's a
a
desert wizard.
some level of a
Alakazam.
some level of exactly that, like a person that was a teacher to the Jews and that he was eventually killed by the Romans for being countercultural.
Yeah.
A lot of people agree with that. A lot of secular people who don't think that there's any divinity to his character believe that. And yet it pisses me off that they're always like, he never existed. He never existed. He never existed.
I don't know if
There's legitimate fact that he actually existed.
Right. And
But
then,
you could be like the Jews, or at least, the Orthodox ones, and believe that he was not
God.
not
yeah.
divine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, you can't say like, absolutely, here in my hand is the actual physical proof. Like, you're not going to be able to like give them a Paul experience and be like, look, there's God.
I would love that.
I would love that too. It'd be amazing.
Suddenly you're blind and there's God.
But there's a number of
Probably have.
arguments and research that you can do to get someone to at least think about it critically, like thinking about the level of detail in the world as a whole. I'm not going to argue with somebody over whether or not evolution is true, because I don't necessarily have a full grasp on that.
So that's something I've struggled with a lot, and it's something that I like Ben Shapiro's perspective of it, because he said
I didn't
He-
know that
he
he
belie-
doesn't believe. I forgot he's Orthodox and doesn't believe Jesus is God.
Yeah, he's not a
no
messianic
bueno,
Jew.
dude. He's Juju. He's a Jew.
He
But
doesn't.
no, he
doesn't
believes
touch-
in
he-
evolution though. Like
Friday nights at 6:00 does not touch a light switch.
Yep. Yep.
He's intensely Jewish,
He's intensely.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess
So-
I knew that, but I didn't think
but
about
I
it.
like him for it.
Yeah,
I appreciate his.
He's dedicated.
Yeah.
Though I mean, he's very structured in his life, and
But
I
did you know
appreciate
he's
that.
also a Nazi?
Yeah,
Oh, he is.
Of course.
He
Hates
is.
Jews.
Of course, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You're Jewish and you're a Nazi.
Yeah, the yarmulke is weird, man.
That's where I just go.
Anyways,
I'm going to keep
Nick was-
researching.
shut up, Nick
that.
was saying
I was
something.
talking about
Yeah,
that.
I
Sorry.
apologize.
I completely forgot what I was going to say.
You were saying
Evolution
Ben
and
Shapiro's
Ben
view
Shapiro.
on.
So that's something I've struggled with, because he believes that evolution exists and the Earth is millions and millions of years old, and it's something that sounds true. And you look at science and it sounds true and it looks true, but you don't know if it is true, because you got people like Ken Ham, and it's very counter.
And have you ever listened to Ravi Zacharias?
No.
Another brilliant theologian, Christian. He believes in evolution, but he believes that it's like he's one of the 6-day,
Yeah.
non-literal 6-day
yes.
creationists. So he
Yeah.
believes in God and the creation of the universe
Yeah.
from God, and I'm with you. Like, I'm like, but I still would point to someone who's an atheist and be like, none of this can be random. Even if it took 6 million years or however
Yeah,
many, it can't be random.
It can't be
You
random.
gotta think though. It's like, oh well, it's just the Big Bang is like, dude, who created the Big Bang? Like you're getting like big at this point. Like
Mhm.
like
Two particles of dust.
even if the Big Bang happened, what was before the Big Bang?
Well,
What created the
I-
Big Bang?
Well, what created God?
I was just gonna say, I really hate using that as a defense to defend creation, because then people can just turn back and be like, well, who is there before God?
But that's
And that's something
you can
what-
defeat
These
them
are
with
the same people
just
who
like-
say the Holocaust didn't happen. So.
just the concept of
Well,
like,
it didn't.
if there's a divine creator, let's just suppose,
Just kidding.
regardless of Christianity, there's a divine creator, and he's infinitely powerful to create the universe, then like by definition, it would be against his nature to have a creator. So it's
Yeah.
their argument is so flawed, because it's like, would God create a rock that he couldn't lift? It's a pointless argument, because God wouldn't like. I heard I guess I'm not gonna be able to quote it, but I heard a really good argument where it's like,
Can't wrap your mind
they're
around
just
it.
No.
throwing you a nonsensical
We-
concept.
We're coming from living in a world where there's a beginning and an end to everything. There's a beginning to this entire earth, and there will be an end to it. There's a beginning to your life, and there will be an end to it. And so the only way that we can comprehend and make sense of the way how God works is to give him a beginning and to give him an end, which is outside of, like,
God.
Yeah.
God is
It's-
literally
it's-
outside of time. He
it's-
created time.
larger than what our minds can comprehend.
That's the thing too. It's like the
At least right
human
now.
mind is so limited. Like I like to
What
think
if you
that there
could
are
use
aliens.
100% of
Like
your mind?
it's almost impossible that there's not
Free
aliens.
Minecraft servers.
Think about it. We are carbon-based life forms, but what's life look like if they're hydrogen-based life
They're
forms?
made of meat.
Look like people from Alabama,
No.
I'm sure.
That'd be inbred.
oh, my bad.
No, but we can't comprehend what other life even looks like. Like, there's evidence that there could have been life on Mars. Actually, they found microbes and stuff. Like, there's life on Mars, but
There's life within every atom that is in
What's
our
the-
universe.
there's some theory where
Wait.
there was like there was life on Mars and there's nuclear fallout on Mars. I forget what theory that is.
You mean like radiation?
No. I mean, like they annihilated themselves, and then like some of them got away or went to Earth, and then were from.
So we went
I don't
to
know.
a hotter
I don't know.
planet.
I don't know.
Interesting.
This is the recording. I don't know.
At this
Okay.
point, that was something that I found interesting. Talking about Mars, I know we're jumping subjects here. So, Hunter Gherkin,
That guy.
he actually reached out to me the other day and just started talking to me. Yeah,
Really?
he's cool.
I love him.
I miss him. Anyway, he's big on like space travel and everything like that. Like Elon Musk going to Mars and stuff. He's big on that, and he talked to me about this one concept of there is a way to create an atmosphere on Mars in which you detonate an atomic
It's,
bomb or a
Geoforming or something like that.
something like a
It's
geoforming.
not
I don't know.
It's
Terraforming.
It's
It's
a
some form of
big-
terraforming.
Freaking bomb.
Yeah.
That the blast is so large and it'll change the environment so rapidly that it could like actually create an atmosphere on Mars.
Well, that's the thing.
And then you would just have to wait 100 years, 200 years for the radiation, everything to settle and go away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could actually have life and live life like on Earth, but on Mars.
Well, even the idea of radiation is interesting too, because I mean, obviously it exists, but it's
Yeah.
like
It's invisible.
such an interesting thing.
Am I
Like,
got
you know the
zero
ele-
now?
You know, like the elephant's foot in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like the nuclear cores melted down through
Mhm.
the floor, and it's like sitting there. 5 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong. 5 minutes, and you're dead.
No, that's pretty accurate from
Yeah,
what I've
yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
It's
What does it do to your body?
have you?
So
well, there was
the-
this.
Beta
Mhm.
beta particles.
I feel really bad,
Essentially tear apart your cells.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, I'm
Your
pretty sure it
cells
just
just
rips
like-
you to pieces.
Yes.
And then you just melt, like you physically melt because your body doesn't stay together.
So radiation is like piranhas, but of the air.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, so there was this interesting thing, like horrifying but interesting. There's certain isotopes, radioactive isotopes, that are so radioactive that, like if you are exposed to the drop of a pin, like if you ingest it or it gets inside of your skin, basically, you will die. There's no way to not like.
We're
It
just
is
gonna find
so
one of these.
radioactive. There was actually a man who was assassinated with it. They laced his food with like enough, like the point of a pin of this stuff, basically in his food, and instantly he got sick and deteriorated over the course of like 5 weeks.
And then they just found out that was actually Tito's vodka that they were spraying on his food. No, just kidding.
But no, like that, and it was a horrible way to die.
Oh, I
like
believe
his body was just melting, like his bones were melting, like everything was just.
Oh, I feel
That's not a
So-
sentence I thought you would say.
He
His
just become-
bones were melting.
But like that's horrifying. Like the pain.
It is.
Suddenly,
'cause
my
your,
bones were melting.
your nerves are still working.
He's in hell
and you're just
talking to
like-
Satan. So, like, I was just sitting there, and suddenly my bones were melting.
I went to
He's
pick
like,
something
you
up,
can
and
go to
then
heaven. That was enough hell for you. That's not how heaven and hell work, but you know.
no, definitely not.
Have you ever read the story or heard the story about the chemist with the I forget what kind of acid it was, but the acid was so strong he spilled it on his pants.
Oh,
It got
no.
on his skin. Emergency washdown procedure, like obviously neutralizers, whatever. Still died. They amputated his leg, where emergency amputation. Still died.
What in the world?
Dude,
Got into his bloodstream.
Essentially.
And so this is why a woman who's throwing bleach on guys who are manspreading should be put in jail, because that could be that.
Yup.
Here's the thing that blows my mind. You can remove half of your brain and retrain your body. I'm not
you'll
kidding.
you'll
It's-
grow new neural pathways.
Yes, you essentially retrain your brain. That's what blows my mind. It's
You're not
like,
wrong.
oh my God, if you can remove half of the mass that makes you think and keeps you alive.
Think about what you could do if you used 100% of your
Think
brain.
about what you could do if you got off.
100%
What if you got off Facebook for 30 minutes and used 10% more of your brain cells?
I get so
What if I
freaking-
stopped looking at memes all day?
So someone brought this.
You actually drop an IQ if you stop looking at memes.
Somebody-
just
That's
saying.
true.
Somebody brought up an interesting fact. So as bad as X-Men Origins Wolverine was,
Am I the only one that likes that movie? I love that movie.
I actually liked it, but
Okay, I was gonna say.
but it's normally
Except for Deadpool.
I was just gonna make fun of that too.
Except for Deadpool. I watched it years later and I was like, oh
Anyways, shut up.
God, that's some bad CGI.
So
Like-
someone
Will
brought
I
up a
am
very
as a cowboy.
someone brought up a very interesting. What are memories? Memories, from what I understand,
I know where this is
are
going. I like this.
are neurological pathways
Mm-hmm.
in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are Wolverine and you get shot in the head, yes, your brain tissue will grow back, but those neurological pathways
Are
I'm
erased.
such a freaking idiot. Don't grow back because you have to
I think-
relearn them.
Yes.
If I'm
Yeah.
smart, but it's just interesting to think. Again, going back to the Big Bang, I don't believe
Every memory that you have is a physical change to your
your
biology.
because we're hard drives, not SSD.
yes.
Oh my God.
but,
but-
it's true.
Do SSDs? No, SSDs don't physically change. I don't know anything about
No, they-
computers.
I don't believe they do.
I didn't think so either.
M.2 drives physically change.
Do they really?
They do.
Mm.
There is.
Yeah,
we don't
my
talk
brother.
about it.
My brother was like, you know, you can only save that like 1,000 times. You know, you can only use like use that like 100,000 times or something. I was like,
You're like, did you know that you can only have like, I don't know, 50,000 RPM like rotations on a mechanical drive, right?
it's like,
What?
bruh.
Not really. It's more than that, but
many
many more.
many
But
more.
regardless, it's like if you're gonna talk about the wear down of like,
It says 16 heads.
Okay, smell, and taste. Okay,
Two of your strongest memory
Yes.
sequences.
Yes.
It's crazy.
smell especially. I switch
That
between
laugh. That laugh.
I switched between Dove soaps. Okay, and I recently switched back to a soap that I was using when I was going through a really hard time in life, and it was really interesting because I started washing. I was like, I'm starting to like it brought memories back that I would have never thought of, regardless. And it's kind of interesting. And I'll do that with
I actually
food too.
change the.
Every time I go through a breakup, I
Don't
change
judge me!
soaps.
This is so sad. Alexa, play
So-
Despacito.
So
Despacito.
I buy
Sam, is your name
different
Alexa?
scented soaps for the summer as I do for the winter.
Yeah. Okay.
Specifically, like my shampoo.
Yeah.
Like in the
Wait,
summer,
repeat that. I'm sorry.
So-
I was
I buy different scented soaps depending on what time of year it is. So
Seasons, okay.
it's summer and winter, and I define that by like spring to fall is summer, and then fall to in winter is winter.
Every stay-at-home mom ever. But
So-
go ahead.
Anywho, I get like a citrusy smelling shampoo for the summer because then it makes me feel like nice and light and like happy and like, and then I get something that smells a little bit warmer and like a little bit more masculine during the winter because I don't know, I feel,
You are so cute.
yeah, that's what I do.
No, continue.
I
Wh-
use
what do you
head-
do in winter?
It's cold, man.
I use Head
What
and
is it?
Shoulders.
During the winter, it's cold, so I get something that smells like a little bit manlier because it's warmer.
Hey, I
Well,
don't
spring.
I don't approve of using the
Well,
word
spring-
manly because it's
Spring,
gender defining.
I use the citrusy because it's like new life and like
Okay.
wow,
That makes sense.
you feel super happy. So like, and like the best thing
Does
ever
it
is
make
like
you think of like in the movie Ratatouille when
Yes,
they have
exactly.
flavors and you eat citrus? It's like yellow and
Yeah.
reds and
no, for real.
There's a guy on YouTube who I really respect with his photography stuff. And I've watched a lot of his tutorials. He does videography tutorials, and
What is it?
I wish I knew. Canadian guy, McKenna. Or he's very famous. I should know his name.
Does he
David-
have silver hair?
Gavin
Does he work with
McInnes.
his wife?
No, he's younger.
Gavin McInnes.
Okay.
He's probably like,
I think I know who you're talking about.
yeah, no, it's like McInnes or McGinns or
Oh,
David McKinns or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
He made a really funny point, and that was that he was 2 credits away from college graduation, and he's like, I could go back and get those, but I think it's more of like a achievement not to. And I was like, oh.
Well,
I thought it was funny.
think about how
I'm way too rational for that.
college is absolute bull now.
Yeah.
I asked my coworkers who have degrees, and I'm like, do you use anything you learned in your degree in your job? No.
Silas
maybe
and I
once
ran
or
into-
my gosh.
The only person I want to go to college is like medical professionals and like law enforcement, because I want them to be trained. Like I want them to go to some form of
Yeah.
formal
They
training.
want, yeah, you want to, because
Yeah.
lives depend on those people.
My graphic designer, photographer, writer, as long as they have good work,
YouTube is taking over that field.
dude, YouTube is amazing. I could look up anything.
I'm a YouTube certified auto
Except
mechanic.
porn.
Exactly. I work on my car from YouTube. I figured out how to do some stuff with a logo. I figured out how to do all of my own presets and everything with my cameras
I
and
made enough
photography.
money. I don't have to worry
Stack
about car
Overflow
stuff.
helps you
From
finish
YouTube.
your projects.
So we have a lot of old people at my office, and this
Mhm.
old guy who retired is like 47 years, right? Like
Lifetimer. He's
amazing,
a lifer.
amazing, awesome guy.
Lifer.
Love him to death. He handed me a notebook of stuff. It was a conversion for like units and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, why the hell do I need this? I'll just
You
type
got
it into Google and get it
Google.
10 times faster. He's like, oh, you'll use this every day. I was like, no, I won't. Like, this is useless, but thank you. I mean, it was a nice gesture. And I said, I mentioned this at lunch when we were with a bunch of people, and of course, everybody's like, well, what if the computers go down? It's like, you guys don't do your fucking job anyway when the computers go down, because you can't.
Mhm.
So why would I need it?
It's interesting.
It's both a good thing and a bad thing.
It is.
Yeah, and here's
When the EMP goes off, we're all screwed because no one has the head knowledge.
yeah,
If the
guys,
if the dollar
those-
doesn't exist anymore.
guys. Okay,
Did it ever exist?
here's some food for thought. I've heard from
Nom,
someone
nom,
that
nom,
they
nom.
believe and they feel that there's strong evidence that we had similar technology to what we have now in the time of Noah.
No, I would agree with that.
And think of it. You store everything on how to build anything on data, on what we've got right now, silicon.
And on the cloud.
It goes away. What does that send us into?
Yeah, but the metal, there would be remnants of stuff. There would be remnants of stuff.
Interesting theory, though.
Yeah.
If they
I'm not
could
saying that
figure
I believe
that
it.
out,
I'm not saying
they
I
could figure out
necessarily
how to
believe
build-
it, but I'm just saying, like,
Nick,
it's not entirely impossible.
Nick,
And it wouldn't
there are
necessarily be
people
this.
that are alive.
it could
that
be completely
didn't know
different.
what electricity was.
Yeah.
That's how fast
Okay.
it has been.
Okay. Yeah.
You're
There was.
you're right.
I went to the
So,
museum, the Fulton
it
County
would-
Museum.
it-
There was
I
a.
am in the middle of a thought.
I'm sorry. There was a. I'm just going to make it really quick. There was a
I'm in a
family
thought.
in 1950 or 60 that won a contest to get their house electrified. This was in Northwest Ohio, like not far from Toledo, Ohio. And they got a contest in like the 50s or 60s to get their house electrified. And they were the first house electrified, I think, in Fulton County, but that sounds wrong. In their area, they were like, it was this big thing. Then Toledo Blade came out and photographed them. All this stuff. They were washing their clothes by hand. They had a literal ice box where they would bring fresh blocks of ice to cool their food down in. The guy worked by gaslight in his workshop. It was another world, and yet they're still alive today.
Yeah.
Or at least
it's
they
crazy.
were like 3 or 4 years ago. I think they passed away fairly recently.
So that's what I'm saying.
My dad
I would
is so old that he had a secret handshake with Jesus. Just kidding. Not really.
Here's the thing, though.
No.
There has to be
Doubt.
there has to be a bunch of supporting things to be able to get to
Just wanna
that
make sure people
place
know that.
because you don't go from
Well, if it
fighting to survive to similar technology to what we have maybe in the 50s, 60s, 30s, 40s. You don't do that because it's not a priority because life is more important than storing information
I want
or
to point out something really crazy. You are
What?
talking into a device that is using flaps of skin to make noise.
Yep.
Goes into this device, goes through this, goes into there, comes
Wait,
through
wait,
another
also
thing,
has
into
little-
here, vibrates hairs on your
Wait,
ears.
hold on. This is what's really happening though.
Did you just do DMT?
You are vibrating. You are vibrating muscles, which translates to vibrations in the airways. Going into a microphone, it gets translated into
Wait,
electronic
hold up, guys.
data. It
I
becomes,
got this. You have a throat.
and you can talk with
All
words.
right, Nick, it's your
You were
turn.
born-
Break this down more.
You were born 20 years ago, and back then, they didn't have iPhones.
Whoa!
It was
I-
weak. And was
No,
kidding.
no, no, think about this,
It
think about
was.
this, think about this.
I grew up with dial-up,
So did I,
So
man.
did I.
Whatever.
Everybody did.
but like, but in
My
terms of,
my
okay,
high speed was 250
okay,
kb,
but
dude.
in terms of speed, though, right? Get this. In terms of speed, in our
Was it
lifetime,
as fast as a
we've gone
Roadrunner?
from dial-up to. I mean, you're getting 100
Gigabits.
megs. I'm getting 100 megs.
There's three.
Gigabits
there's
not
three,
uncommon.
There's 3 gigabit. Dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess for us in like the civilian
Yeah,
poor range,
Yeah.
I know like military and things like that. They're just like boop, and
There's-
it's
Or
over there
business.
before they even
There's-
He
hit
knows
send.
what it means. I
There's-
get it.
10
Yeah,
gigabit
it's
service.
super fast.
Well,
but if you think
Donald
about
Trump has like
my parents didn't
Terabit.
have computers.
Yeah.
Like, and if then they had computers, but they were the size of a room, and in less than 100
That's
years,
how old your parents are?
Yeah. Oh, dude, my parents were 11 when they landed on the moon.
They landed on the moon?
Yeah. No,
Wow.
they were less than that. But my parents were alive when like they were watching the moon landings on TV, and then they
Maybe-
watched JFK's funeral on TV. And
says my parents are older than his parents. and
Yeah.
they know
Hey,
more than that.
my parents are probably the same age as your parents.
pretty close, yeah.
Ha!
I don't know what that
My
has to do
dad
with
But,
could
it.
okay.
break a hip before your dad.
Oh my god.
My dad could rip his knee faster than your dad could, I bet.
Have a heart attack.
Got you beat, or you got him beat.
I think I got you guys beat.
No, my dad had a minor heart attack.
What?
Oh, no, my dad actually has had a heart attack.
My dad has also had a heart attack.
Dang.
So,
My
so
dad's good.
How old is it?
Hey,
How
good.
old is your dad, Nick?
like 25.
50.
Yeah, your
Oh, that's
dad's
not
the
The
too bad.
youngest.
Oh
Not too
yeah,
bad,
you are
though.
the youngest. Wait.
I'm not the youngest.
You're not the youngest?
No, I have 2 little sisters.
No, I'm saying that
Oh.
he has the youngest father.
Oh,
Yeah, and he is the
I
youngest
thought
of
you
this
said he
group.
was the youngest.
Yes,
No,
he is the
He's the
youngest
youngest
of
of
this
this group, but he's not the youngest. We're all youngest. That's why we're loud.
We need attention. We got all the attention.
Yeah, well,
We got all the attention.
We need more.
It's never enough.
We're like child actors. We got a taste of the limelight.
As
Yeah.
I'm holding my microphone like I'm singing to it or something.
Okay, Freddie Mercury.
Okay, but I'm trying to think where my brain was going with that. I had an interesting thought. I lost it.
Freddie Mercury.
Okay, this is what I was getting at. Now that I'm thinking of it, I agree with Silas to a point because we have strong evidence, very strong evidence that previous civilizations had technology that we can't replicate today.
Yeah.
Or rather, we can't replicate the
And
way
it-
that they did it,
It was
and
aliens.
they were more advanced than we ever dreamed they were.
They were able to make electricity through glass.
Jars.
Yeah.
They had they could make electrical current.
Yes,
they-
the Egyptians
yep.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Egyptians had batteries.
Yep.
The Greeks had
The Greeks had delicious shish kebabs.
the Greeks. Did you ever see they've only recovered one of these, but it was off of a Greek ship that was just gears and
No, I
components.
think I saw. Yeah,
Yeah.
They dug
It
it
wa-
up from the wreckage, and it was like,
Right.
holy.
it's an advanced calculation machine that follows, like, it maps the stars for advanced long distance sea travel.
Well, get this. Like all the astrological, like on the ground, like
Yeah.
the snake mounds in Ohio.
Right. Where
The
do we know?
solar is it the longest day of the year? Is it solar eclipse? I'm very sure it's a solar
Yes.
eclipse.
Yeah.
Something like that.
it aligns perfectly with a spot between trees. Not unnatural. Just like natural. A spot in the trees aligns perfectly the head of it.
Mm-hmm. Same with
Yep.
like Stonehenge lines up, the pyramids line up. These all
The
all these
pyramids
things.
have I believe it's like the top
They
of
look
it
like
is actually
boobies.
conductive, and they could essentially be giant batteries. I've heard. I don't know if I necessarily believe that because I've
Right,
never been to Egypt.
Right,
But
and I mean, there's all kinds of
aliens.
there's all kinds of conspiracies that wrap
Aliens.
up in that. When really, in my head, I'm just thinking, or it could just be that civilizations are like us, because we have risen to a advanced plane of knowledge or whatever,
Mhm.
and like every level of civilization, they get to a certain point and then they fall. And it's the old saying of wood shoes climbing up the stairs, silk slippers falling down the stairs. You use all this hard work to get to a certain point, you get lazy or you get comfortable, and then a lot of times you collapse. This is the story of the Roman Empire. This is the they become lavish.
Memento Mori.
Hmm?
Memento Mori. The story
That's
of
why you
the
said Rick and Morty, and I was like,
the
hey,
story
hey.
of the like commoner in Rome going up to one of the generals right before they were about to go, like they had their big ceremonial like parade before they were about to go off into battle, and it's the Roman Empire, so they're the one of the strongest forces on the planet, and they're going out, and one of
Their
just like the
empire was
commoners
formed with Nokia phones.
Yes, exactly. And one of these commoners comes up to him and just tells him Memento Mori, which remember you will die.
Mhm.
That's what it is. So he's
Yes.
like,
You're not immortal.
yeah,
You're gonna die someday. Everybody dies someday.
there's an end. It's like the stock market back in
Yeah.
the 30s.
I basically want my goal is to reach 2100, which I believe is possible. That's only 102.
Yeah.
I should probably stop drinking wine and alcohol.
Actually, you should
Smoking
continue
cigars.
drinking wine.
Wine is
Stop
good.
and
smoking.
chocolate, wine and chocolate. But so there was that one
Everything
veteran that lived to
in
111 years
Mata.
old, and
I
he
know.
smoked and drank. So I mean,
Yeah.
just frick it, whatever your body wants to do. It just depends on your genetic makeup.
Just
Nick,
listen to your
just
body.
have good genes.
Think about.
Honestly, yeah.
I do have good American Eagle. Think about.
I got new jeans today. Oh my gosh, I left them at the house. I didn't go back to my house. Never mind.
Think
That's why.
about how sad it's going to be when we no longer have World War II veterans.
That's coming up, man.
Coming
I
up.
know.
You
and
do
I
realize
just,
that-
I
I
just
did-
started thinking about
Oh
it, and
my
I'm
gosh.
like, dude,
I'm working on a.
that's crazy. Think about when we get to like the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
or
that's going to happen in
Korea.
our lifetime.
It's getting close because my uncle's 70.
What about
Well-
the Gulf War? But what about
I did
Sandstorm.
the math, and if they
Good
were
job.
18 in 1943, if they joined up mid-war, I think they'd be 79 right now. So you have
Whoa.
you have the tail end of veterans. You have the 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds still, but
How many of those did actually come back, though?
well, I know a
Well,
lot of
you're
those
saying-
were the ones that were
I know.
heavy casualties, but
Yeah,
You
'cause
have 'em.
they've been trained for like, I don't know, 3 weeks, and then
Yep.
they're
Can you imagine just tossing me a rifle and then 6 weeks later putting me into combat?
can you imagine just getting tossed a
Dude.
rifle and put in combat the next day? Welcome to Russia.
Yup.
dude,
They did all right.
dude, on D-Day,
They
I
had
mean,
the bodies to
I
throw.
mean, they lost
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
what, like 25%, 75% of their population in World War II. Yeah,
They had-
their young population
Guys,
was like
Did you
75%.
know? Oh, I didn't know. I thought you meant 75% of the whole population, but like, that's a lot.
They
of
lost a lot of their
Russian, man.
They lost a lot of their population.
Dude.
Well,
Dude.
let's talk about the Polish for a second.
no, I want to talk about D-Day.
They got
And
raped.
how horrible that was.
They did. That's true. They did.
No, D-Day, like when they were driving the
Yeah.
boats up,
If that would have failed,
they just pushed him
you
out of the
imagine
boat.
how ridiculed we'd be. Like that's a stupid plan.
So
The
It's-
miscommunication is cool though. I like how
Yeah.
they miscommunicated and then
it
it
still
was-
worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they landed on the wrong beach and they're like, all right, we're going to take this beach, guys.
They're like, all right, just keep
I didn't know how
pushing.
many
so
different
let's shoot
freaking
some
beaches
Nazis.
there was.
yeah.
I don't think those were
Omaha,
Nazis.
Utah,
Gold, Juno,
yeah.
Sword. And it
Yeah.
was, each one was a different coalition force.
Oh,
it was
I
like,
didn't even know the Canadians landed.
You
on
guys
the
are
beach.
talking.
they took one.
You guys are talking about how
That was the easiest
cool
one
it was.
too.
I was going to talk about the horrible details about it.
Hey, you Germans over there, we landed on your beach and we kind of just want to take it over. So if you just don't mind putting your rifles down, we won't have to shoot you.
Could you?
I'll build a
Could you just put
sandcastle
your
if I
rifles?
want to.
Could you just put your rifles down there, laddie? You know, hey, just put it down. We got a pint of beer. And
Why
I
are
turned
you
it- I
Irish?
turned into an Irish Canadian. You know,
I was gonna say, I was like, that's
Although-
not.
the Irish
/
in,
Wisconsin.
the
Don't you know?
Irish in World War II and even World War One
Single-handedly won the war.
are freaking amazing. They wore kilts and played bagpipes as they marched into combat.
And their bagpipes actually shot knives
It's like,
out.
hey, you ninny Germans, look at me, I got me balls out as I'm coming into battle. What you gonna do about that? Oh, nice and hairy. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right. I don't have a soul, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm going straight to purgatory.
Have you guys seen
Because you're all Catholic.
Inglorious
We're
Bastards?
all Catholics, plus we're
I
all
have.
redheads.
Oh my God, is that a good movie?
I didn't hear what you
I've
said.
heard it's a great
Inglorious
movie.
Bastards.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Oh, it is, but it's
So inaccurate. So fun.
oh, obviously.
So
Historically
fun.
false, but what are you gonna do about it?
Here's the thing.
There's nothing more
the
satisfying
thing.
than
Here's the
killing
thing.
than killing Nazis.
Those dang Nazis.
Because everybody hates Nazis.
Including the Nazis.
Hmm?
They're Nazis.
Nazis.
Okay,
No,
Brad
no,
Pitt.
the dialogue was so interesting in that movie. With the bar scene,
That is one
okay, it ended in
that is-
total Tarantino. Everybody dies. But it's like...
that is literally one of the most beautiful scenes in movies.
It is.
in
It's
movie
so...
history.
Mm.
There's a bar
Fluid
scene,
and believable.
obviously.
You don't have to tell me about it because I want to watch the movie.
Well, let's
Yeah.
watch it tomorrow after we watch The Room
Damn it, guys.
and Rambo.
I have too many friends because everybody's all like, come over, do stuff. Then my girlfriend's like, hey, come visit me. I'm like,
Hey, it's like my wife.
Go
you're
be
the,
with your
you're the
girlfriend, man.
priority.
Yeah.
Trailing back to the World War II, like those, anybody that's ever been into a combat situation is like, you're messing your own. You're getting messed up for the sake of the greater good. Like no one comes back the same. And when they say like the greatest generation lived in World War II, I think that's true, and I think that also every generation after that that's gone to war has a certain amount of that greatness to them. It's just interesting to think about when we were talking about earlier, like the brain nullification, shall we say, of people nowadays.
Okay.
You couldn't. I genuinely don't think that you could toss World War II at this generation and have them come back. Or have them win.
I don't think you could toss World War II at millennials. I think that Gen Zers actually have a better chance. I feel like they're more level-headed.
I'd give you
To
that.
be completely fair.
I'd give you that to a certain degree, but it's also difficult to recreate that because the reason why you had the World War II generation is because you had the Great Depression and you had the World War I generation that raised the World War II generation.
Yes.
And you had this
And the World War I generation was fueled purely by alcohol.
basically
Hell yeah.
and a strong like personally I wish I could live in that time because of this, but there was an overwhelming power behind honor and adventure.
Yeah.
And so it didn't necessarily make
Sam, there's a lot of that now. It's just you live in Northwest Ohio, so no one's adventurous. Just putting that out there.
I'm going to be...
Okay,
You know
okay,
what?
but like,
Ohio is amazing.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying
is.
Northwest Ohio isn't. Have you seen the amount of
Yeah.
camo?
okay, I would like to point this out though. I would like to
see people.
we have an overwhelming amount of non-hippies. The majority of Hicks live in Southern Ohio. Northwest Ohio is the one basin of humanity that might survive a Hick invasion.
Here's something that I find interesting. This next generation that's coming up, the more I kind of see the way, and the more I can relate with it, the more I realize like I don't want to work to live.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to live to work. I want to
Yes.
I want to work
Yes.
to live. I don't want
Bingo.
the only reason for me to be alive and whatnot is to work.
To work at like a factory for the rest of your
Yeah.
life and then
I don't want to
break your
I don't want to
body.
be stuck in this idea that I can't go do something.
Because I have
And
to
I
be at
feel
work.
that that's something that's being instilled in this next generation. And I understand it's like one of those things that like baby boomers and other generations look at and be like, oh, they're so irresponsible because they're not setting up like
It's because the
financial stability,
economy.
but
The economy isn't
the
what
way-
it was in the 1950s.
Yeah, and the way how our job force is changing, it really allows us to be more adventurous.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
That will flip in 15 to 20 years.
Yes, it
Yep.
will.
Welders, skilled tradesmen, dude, they're gonna be so wealthy.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So wealthy.
Because those
No,
jobs
nobody-
are empty.
Nobody wants
Yes.
to be a plumber.
Yes, and everybody wants a cushy desk job, and their parents are like, "You want to succeed in life, if you want to be fulfilled." You know, I realized that like I had a okay job when I was back at my other job, and making $40,000 a year, and I told Jacob Lamb and Nolan Quigley that I made $40,000 a year, and they about themselves. Yes, and I'm like, guys, this is not that much money, and they're
It's
like,
not that much money.
I know, and they're like, oh my god, like why am I even in college? And I'm like,
To make 70 or 80 or
Yeah,
100 or
stay-
150.
They're-
If you're in
Silas-
college, stay in
Silas
college.
are gonna
Silas
do
is going to
that.
make a bunch of money. If
Silas
he
is gonna
continues
make a-
on his path to
Yeah.
do what he's doing, he's going to make a bunch of money.
I should probably start doing more photography.
You're a wild card because you have the brain and the creativity to make a frick ton of money. You
And
just
I-
need to leave, I think.
There are two things that trip me up. One,
You're indecisive.
not indecisive. I struggle with motivation like 80 to 90% of the time.
You got to quit looking at memes!
And so and
Silas and I
honestly
built that shit.
honestly it
We
just
built
it
that
just,
shelf after looking at memes for an hour straight.
it just comes down to like as a kid
Sorry, Sam.
as a kid I let myself be lazy
Yeah.
because my parents kind of just let me have free reign, and I think if they had pushed me I would have been more structured myself, but
You're-
I let myself
Don't be the homeschooler that blames their parents. Do you blame your parents?
No, I'm not blaming my parents because I
blame
know
myself.
all
Good.
I say,
Don't
all I'm
blame your
saying is
parents.
when I bring up my parents is that I recognize the influence that they had, but that the blame still falls on me because I had the choice to act differently than what I was brought up into.
Or just realize look at life, take that moment to just be quiet and look at what you want to do, look at what other people around you are doing and be like, is this something I want to continue in? And then make the change yourself.
That's something else I struggle with a lot. It's like it's not. It's a little bit of the ADD coming out. Like I will, if I am driving, there is no silence. I obsessively switch between music and podcasts. It's awful. There is not a quiet. I wake up in the morning and I listen to Dave Ramsey while I'm in the shower. I get out of the shower, continue. I get into my car. I listen to music or podcasts the entire way to work. I get to work. I do my job. I get on lunch. I listen to podcasts or music. There is no quiet time for me. I listen to it while I go to sleep.
I listen to podcasts and music while I work because that's how
Have
I
you ever
work,
listened?
but-
Have you ever listened to the Screw Tape Letters?
That's a very interesting read.
They talk about how Satan is just noise, 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 and there's never time for quiet because Satan is
Steven
pushing the
Crowder
very-
is not just noise.
See, that's actually part of it
He's
too.
an ideology.
With my level of anxiety that I have and general just like, whatever, those issues in my head, I drown those out with noise.
Yeah.
Which is a fault of my own, because then when I'm like, why am I not motivated to do these things? Why do I not have the time to do these things that I want to do to change? It's all my own fault. Like I have to admit that at the end of the day, like it's all my own fault. I have these outside factors that have influenced me to be less good at maybe just like doing these things naturally. Like I'm not one of those people that wakes up every day and is like, yeah, I'm going to crush this. Like one of those like, born and raised
Rock.
Here's the thing.
Gary Vaynerchuk, like motivational people.
Yeah.
I'm not naturally like that, but I could be pushing myself to be that.
Not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur.
That's also true. And I don't want to be.
That's
I'm
very
tired
true.
of people shoving that down my throat on the internet. Everywhere, like, you need to just get out there and quit working for the man. Maybe I
That's-
want to go home.
that's the
Maybe I just
millennial-
want to do my job. Have you guys seen Parks and Rec?
That's the
No, that's the exact point that I'm
you
just
told
trying to
me
make
Millennials
earlier
and
earlier.
Gen
this before the
Zers.
podcast.
both.
I don't want to when I'm done with my job, I want to go home and I want to be with my family. I want to go home and be with my
Have
friends.
you got? Yeah.
I do not want to go home and work on a report for the meeting tomorrow. Other people can do that. I don't want that. I want to provide a life for my family that we can live without
But also do a job that you want to do as well.
Yeah, exactly. do something that's successful for us so that I can provide for my family and make sure that my family goes without,
So
me
ADHD coming back again. I've gone from a directly physical, hands-on, labor-intensive job, maintenance, that blows, by the way, straight out of high school,
Speak for
to
yourself.
now an office job where there's little to no physical labor besides mad typing skills
And I want to kill
on
myself.
a cherry keyboard. Well, it's not even that. I enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm finding that it really needs to be a mix for me. So, like, to me, it's
The same
like,
way.
dude, if I was like, I just keep thinking, like, man, if I opened up like a car performance shop, like, how fun would that be? Because I could work with my hands on cars and go inside. Like, I can market myself. Marketing is a huge passion for me, even though I may or may not be good at it. Never try it out.
Market
But
this podcast. We'll give you
I
a
can
dollar.
I can do that.
Actually, we will pay again. We'll pay
Fix
you
their cars.
we will pay you 6 times what we're getting paid.
That's still zero.
Yep. Actually,
Just got
technically,
mocked.
you'd be paying for something a lot.
That's fine. Okay, honest opinion, after seeing my photos and stuff, should I be charging? I feel like I should be charging money.
Probably.
I am not a photographer, so I don't know.
I'm getting a lot of compliments as of late, even though I'm not like very. I've gotten more compliments in
If
the
you can
past
do something
2
well,
weeks.
don't do it for free.
Well, and I never used to get compliments like I'm getting now. Like, people are saying like, "Wow, that photo doesn't even look real," but it's like not in a bad way. It's
Yeah.
like it looks so good. It's almost like it's not like some kid that doesn't ever
Yeah.
take photos with
Again,
average
if
gear.
you're good at
Silas is
something,
talking
do
to
not
you.
do it for free.
Unless you want to do it for free.
Yeah.
No, don't
That's
listen
the-
to him.
Then
No,
you become a philanthropist.
See, that's where I get off.
I'm a philanthropist.
Because to me, well, yeah, no, that's where I
Sam,
jump off.
don't get on this whole. You want to better the community and crap.
But that's what I want to do. Like I
No, it's
can't.
good, dude.
I can't get myself to
I-
get into the mindset of like, okay, so like I'm working as a photographer for a company.
Yeah.
And I like that I'm a photographer, and I like that I'm getting paid to do something that I enjoy outside of work. But I hate the fact that I am in a endless loop of photographing furniture that will be created, sold, retired, created, sold, retired. It's cheap photography, or it's not cheap photography, but it's cheap, a cheap product that I don't believe in. I personally would only buy it if like I have no money, so I will buy this crappy piece of furniture. I don't believe in the product in that sense. And I am merely a statistic to the company. If I left tomorrow, I would be replaced by someone who is probably better than me.
I would doubt that.
I live under the shadow of
Nick
the
wouldn't work
intern.
there.
I live under the shadow of the intern
wouldn't.
before me, and I, up until recently, was constantly berated with like, "Oh yeah, so and so would do it this way," and yeah, it was nice when they did it that way. I was constantly berated with like these little like stabs of like the person before you was better, and I'm like, thanks. I guess I'll just leave.
Thanks. I guess I'll just die.
All right, guys. We about ready?
About
I
it,
gotta
I guess.
pee.
So, all right. Well, this has been a podcast where three 20-something white guys sat in a circle and talked about random stuff. I hope you enjoyed it.
Actually, there's 4.
Uh,
There's 4. There's definitely 4.
Yeah,
yeah, Sam counts.
he definitely counts. He's crucial.
Yeah, if he wasn't here, we wouldn't have any story.
Thank you guys for listening. This podcast is lava.